Welcome, guys, to another edition of Pony Panels. But this time, we're not talking main comic. We're actually talking the Friends Forever series. In fact, over the next month or so on panels, a lot of it is going to be Friends Forever. So you can kind of call it a Friends Forever invasion if you wanted to. More specifically, the most current comic in the series, number 24, which stars, of all of the weirdest pairings in Equestria, Gilda and Rarity. These two couldn't be more awkward, to say the least, to put in a comic, let alone the subject matter. And just in time for NFL playoff season. I mean, no joke, this comic came out the week of the wild card playoffs in the NFL. Why do I bring that up? Because it's a football-based comic. More specifically, the sport is called Luigi Ball, but it pretty much works on the same concept as football. So it's practically a football comic. Why is Rarity dragged into this with Gilda? See, Gilda is an assistant coach to a Griffin football coach who is a legend in the sport and she highly adores and idolizes. Rarity is brought in to, at first, help with the team's uniforms. See, Gilda wants their team of lovable losers, to be honest, to at least look good on the field. So, Gilda enlists her just to do the uniforms. But as all typical underdog football stories would go, the idolizing coach is a douche. A major douche. Kind of like Daring Do and Daring Don't. But this guy is a major hard ass. And I mean hard ass. Think John Harbaugh of the University of Michigan at his time with the 49ers, allegedly. But the comic more or less centers around one particular player on the team. A scrappy little one called Fire Gem. This Griffin doesn't look the part. He's small, diminutive, almost looks like a chicken. But he keeps getting in there because he loves himself the game. Think Waterboy. And Rarity notices that the little guy just keeps getting the crap beat out of him. And Gilda keeps giving him shots. And there's continuity all over the place. The lost treasure Griffinstone in the early panels. But also nice to see that the stuff earned with Pinky has stuck. At least in the comic world, we know it's stuck. But it's a nice touch. But as more and more football players or bougie ball players get injured before the day of the big game, it looks like the team is going to be undermanned until Rarity, much like the wrestling comic of the main comic, steps in to assist and actually being part of the team. Yeah, the team doesn't but essentially you have a Rudy moment. In fact, That's what a lot of this comic echoes, is the classic sports movie Rudy, about the kid from Notre Dame who just wanted to play, but ultimately miraculously earns the respect and love of his teammates through miraculous play. Only, unlike that movie, we don't get the exact happy ending. The entirety of the comic's moral pretty much plays out like Daring Don't. But Fire Jim is such a lovable one. You end up rooting for this little dude. Let's call a spade. Even though for most of the comic he gets the crap kicked out of him. And Rarity is nicely placed for once. Why is it in the comics that the writers can write Rarity, but in the main show it's such a struggle? Yes, I know there are comics in which Rarity is written badly too, and trust me, we'll get to those. But at least for this one, it's not that bad. It's actually pretty excellent. And Gilda is actually massively likable in the comic too, playing the perfect role of assistant coach and by the end of it, de facto leader. The actual comic animation looks quite spectacular with the sport given all the sportsy bombast that you would expect. Although a lot more explanation and history on the game and coach himself would have better got us into the story a little bit. But the fact that it stays clearly focused on the story at hand and clearly focused on Fire Gem keeps the comic in line. It just makes me want to learn more about the sport. For as awkward of a pairing as it is, the comic is an absolute win. That's why in terms of the harmony scale, I give this comic a solid 4. Now, of course, if you're not a football fan or a fan of sport movies, you're not going to really understand what's going on here. But, by and large, it shows Rarity in a good light and Gilda in a good light, which not all pairings in Friends Forever manage to do. And the timing around the season also works perfectly for the idea. So, until next time, I'm Nirvana Sparkle. Find peace in your own Nirvana. And go Broncos? I guess? Even though I'm a Raiders fan.